Lee. So you definitely need your relative practice out. We're going to start where we left off yesterday. So if you need to pause this and get it out, do that. So we are in section 2, where we got to the point of figuring out what the case of our relative pronoun was. In Latin, it's a little bit weird. We get the number and gender from whatever the antecedent is. But then the case, you have to analyze the relative clause and decide what function the relative pronoun has in the sentence, which can be really crazy. So I have this method of doing it, and we're actually going to skip down to section 3 to show you what that method is. So let's go to section 3. All the sentences are the same. So I just gave you space to do something different to find out what the case was. So we'll leave the number and gender up here on these lines like we did yesterday. And then we'll do case down here. So for the first example, or for the first one, I'm sort of going to put my example up here right above number 1. So the first thing you have to do is get the relative clause all by itself. So we know what the relative clause is in number 1. We found it yesterday. Refer to section 2 if you need to. It's the part we underlined. So to get it all by itself, I'm just going to pull it out here. Who walked home? Okay. And then after you do that, you need to find your antecedent, which we found yesterday. So that's up in section 2 as well. I think we drew an arrow to it. So we drew an arrow in number 1 back to girl. So we're going to take girl and replace the relative pronoun in this lovely little isolated clause here. So we're going to take that relative pronoun who, get rid of it, and put our antecedent, the girl, into the sentence, into the little clause. Okay. So we just replace who with our antecedent, the girl, walked home. Okay. And then there is one other step, but we don't have to do it in this one. The last step is to make the new sentence where you replace the girl, or sorry, replace the relative pronoun with the antecedent. We're going to take that and make it make sense if it doesn't. But in this situation, it makes sense already, so we don't have to do anything. You'll see in number 2, when we do that one together, that one you'll have to rephrase. But once you have a sentence that makes sense, that's what you put on this line here, rephrased relative phrase. So the girl walked home. We have to make sure that it makes sense in English, and it's in English word order, so it's a sentence that actually makes sense. And your case, you determine that by what case the antecedent has in your new sentence. And here's your new sentence. Let's highlight it somehow with gray. Who highlights in gray? Oh my goodness. Oh no. Oh no. There we go. So we're looking at the girl walked home, and we want to know what case the girl is in this sentence. It's a noun. It comes before the verb. It's performing the action. So we have to say that it's the nominative. Boom. And there we go. So because the girl in the sentence is the nominative, that's what our relative pronoun has to be back in the relative clause. So that's my way of figuring it out. Let's do number 2, because you have to do that third step in number 2 that we didn't have to do in number 1. So here we go. Oh no, not what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing in number 2. We're going to take out the relative clause. So that's whose mirror broke. And then we want to go to the next step. Our antecedent here is still the girl. Okay, so let's plug the girl in for whose in that little clause that we just isolated right here in the first step. The girl mirror broke. But that, you sound like a caveman, and I'm not sure anybody would understand you. So we have to make this make sense in English. So the girl mirror broke. We know that it means the girl's, sorry, apostrophe S, the girl's mirror broke. Now we do the final step. We just need to plug in here on the rephrase relative phrase our final sentence that makes sense. The girl's mirror broke. And now we have to decide what the girl's apostrophe S, what case is that in our new phrase? Anything with an apostrophe S should give it away really quickly. That is genitive. And the quickest review of cases in all of history, your nominative will be the subject of the sentence. Genitive is the possessive, so apostrophe S or of. Dative will be a to or for translation. Accusative will be the noun that comes after the verb. And ablative is used for various prepositional phrases. Not all of them. Remember, there are some prepositional phrases that use accusative, like to or towards. But make sure the to you have is actually towards, not to. So like this one down here, this is not towards, this is dative, but because of this to right here. But I'm going to let you finish out that section and see what you come up with. And I would pause it here, and then I'm going to give you all the answers. Okay, so pause it, give it a try, take a minute and a half tops to see if you can pull out those phrases and figure out what the case is. So pause it now. I'm going to give you the answers. Whenever you're ready, come back. All right, number 3, for whom he bought the new mirror. We want to take for whom he bought the new mirror and replace the whom, the relative pronoun only, with the antecedent. So for the girl, he bought the new mirror. So let's put that here. For the girl. Oh, sorry, we didn't do the last step. I mean, it kind of works, but let's say he bought the new mirror for the girl. That sounds nicer. So now we're looking at the antecedent to decide what the case is. There's a for in front of it, so it's dative. To whom he brought a new mirror. Let's see, we're going to pull that out. To whom he brought the new mirror, we're going to replace whom with the girl. To the girl, he brought a new mirror. So let's put the rephrased one down here. Let's make it sound nice. He brought a new mirror to the girl. I know this might sound like towards. I would actually take it either way, but I like it as dative better. There's the verb of transfer tells me that, but that's not something that's too crazy. I would really take either one, dative or accusative on that one. Let's do the next one. Whom Aurelia had called. So we're going to pull that phrase out, replace whom with the girl. So the girl Aurelia had called, to make it make sense. Aurelia had called the girl. All right. And our antecedent, the girl, in the phrase that makes sense in English, it comes after the verb. That makes it accusative. And then this last one, the girl ran from Euclides in the stick with which she was hit. So we're going to pull out with which she was hit and replace which, our relative pronoun, with the antecedent, which was stick. So with the stick, she was hit. Let's make that sound nicer in English. She was hit with the stick. Okay. And with the stick is the part that we're analyzing. What case is that? With the stick is ablative. It is a prep phrase. So there are all of your cases. And you can go back to section 2 to find your number and gender. All right. In section 4, in the following sentences, underline the relative pronoun and draw an arrow to the antecedent. Looking closely at the antecedent, indicate the number and gender of the relative in the sentence. Is all the same? Yes. So we could skip section 4. We already did this in section 2, but it's just sort of a reminder that you want to look at the antecedent to find the number and gender. You should have section 5 already filled in. Use that as a reference. And now I changed the sentences in section 6. So I'm going to do number 1 with you, and then I want you to try 2 through 6. And, or do I? Why don't we do this when we come back? Because I want you to work on something else at this point. So I don't want you to work on the relative practice without me giving you the answers. So that'll be it for the moment, except I'm going to give you your next assignment, but the sub should also have it. Your homework, let's see if I can switch here. Okay, so that, all right, I have no idea what just happened. Hopefully I'm still recording. So your homework is going to be to finish the translation for chapter 28. That might sound kind of crazy, but we actually got a lot done last time. So chapter 28 translation is on, you can tell how ready I am for this part. 28 is on page 3 in your textbooks. We got through line 7 together last week. So all you have to do is finish that last paragraph. That's 4 lines plus 2 words. So I think you can handle it. So the rest of the period, you need to work on 2 things. You need to work on finishing those, I believe, 4 questions for the sententii. I will collect the books back on Monday, and I will also be checking that you have these 4 lines, lines 8 to 12 on page 3 completed for me. So that's what I'm looking for Monday, but you have the rest of the period to do it. All right, I will see you on Monday.